No, I'm going to sit there. Hello? Sorry. Right, thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Inaugural. I'll be your program director for the night. And I'm not going to waste any time because we're already behind schedule and we've got very important matters to get to, okay? Perhaps the one thing that I would just want to address is the question that everyone normally has when they attend events, but they're too afraid to ask, where are the bathrooms? All right? Most of us are aware of the architecture of the building. If we look to your right, which is my left, you will see the wooden doors. As soon as you come out of the wooden doors, the bathrooms are directly in front of you. The second thing, maybe in terms of housekeeping, is that we've got our exits and entries, all the wooden doors except on your left side. They're open, they're unlocked, so you can use that if you need to go out. And then we've got the main entrance and exit at the back. We also have medical personnel on site, so we've got an ambulance outside just in case of a medical emergency. So if there is a medical emergency, please know that there is attention for everyone. I'm sure everyone has seen our ushers who are outside, some are sitting at the back. If you have any questions, if you need any help, please feel free to speak to the ushers, ask them whatever you need to ask them. And then, having taken that out of the way, I had just written a very small opening where I had said, as a program director for the evening, I will be the captain of this event ship. And like with any captain, we have one job, which is to steer the ship. Therefore, my job will not be to speak, but to call those that you have actually come here to listen to. So we will get straight into the program and steer towards entertainment. I see the first order is of a musical item. So if we can have our musical item, and then we'll commence officially with the program. those responsible for entertaining us, where are they? Are they being shy now? All right. Okay, there they come. All right.
Hallelujah.
Thank you so much to the TSL choir. As they're going out, can we please just appreciate them one more time? That was beautiful. The next item on our program is, as you would have noticed, I never welcomed anyone because that is not my place, okay? So I will have to call upon the Dean of the Faculty of Law to come and officially welcome us to this event. Just before the Dean comes, perhaps as I introduce him, Professor Serge Joyou Kamka is a full professor of human rights and the Dean of the Faculty of Law at the University of the Free State. He is currently the Vice President of the ANCL Central African Region. He is also a member of the Executive Committee of the International Association of Constitutional Lawyers. Prof. Kamka previously worked at the Thabo Mbeki African School for Public and International Affairs at the University of South Africa and the Center for Human Rights at the University of Pretoria and the South African Institute for Advanced Constitutional Law, a center of the University of Johannesburg. His research over the years demonstrates a profound and sustained commitment to advancing knowledge about human rights in Africa, especially on the right to development in the African human rights system, human rights from cross-cultural perspective, and disability rights. His research also includes illicit financial flows and their impact on human rights. He is the author, editor, and co-editor of 13 books and counting, and 74 articles or book chapters. Prof. Kamka has received several research grants and awards, including the prestigious Ali Mazrui Award for Scholarship Research Excellence in 2021. Prof, please, the podium is yours.
Thank you very much, Program Director. You know, generally at university, when we start, before we say anything, we say all protocol observed. But today, I will not do that because I would like to acknowledge the presence of the dignitaries, especially the commissioner who accepted really to be here with us this evening. So allow me therefore to start by acknowledging the presence of Mr. Tidisu Matona, who is the commissioner for BBBEE at the BBBEE Commission, based in the Department of Trade and Industry in the country. Dr. Mbulelo Nukweku, who is the head of Department of the Free State Department of Economic Small Businesses, Development, Tourism, and Environmental Affairs. Ms. Mopoine Khaboseli, the Executive Director, Investigation and Enforcement for the BBBEE Commission, and Mr. Teleki Mofitli, who is equally at the BBBEE, and I will say a bit more about his role this evening. And I would also like to internally first start by recognizing the presence of my boss, Professor Vasu Reddy, the Deputy Vice Chancellor of Research and Internationalization. And I will equally like to recognize the presence of Prof. Elizabeth Snyman van ter Venter, who is the HOD of the Department of Mercantile Law, who is leading this project within the university. Mr. Hangalekani Kanyane, the Director of International Auditing. And I would also like to acknowledge all our esteemed guests and students. Thank you for coming. I would like to say you are all welcome. And it is a great pleasure to welcome you to the Faculty of Law for the signing of the MOU between the Faculty of Law and the Broad-Based Black Economic Empowerment Commission and the public lecture by the BEE Commissioner, Mr. Matona, who will take stock on the implementation, challenges, and future prospects of the BEE in the country. Before I proceed, although there is a space in the program for a formal vote of thanks, please allow me to thank the GVC Vasu because he, you know, from 7 o'clock this morning, he's been in an executive meeting, and from 7 to 5, he was in that meeting, and he still found time and energy to come here to be with us. Thank you so much, GVC. Thank you for your support. Very much appreciated. A big thanks to Mr. Matona, the commissioner, who has been in the Free State since yesterday for this event. Really, thank you very much for giving up or rescheduling some of your activities to be with us at the University of the Free State. We are very, 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 very grateful for that. I would like to also welcome members of the legal fraternities, members of the public and private sector, and our colleagues in the faculty, of course, our students, without which there is no university. A special thanks to Mr. Teleki from the BBBEE Commission and our project leader, Prof. Elizabeth Snyman. Grateful very much for all the work that you guys did. But now, I would like to give you, because that he has been a very strong activist in the country back in when he was younger, because he's not old, when he was younger. So he was a strong activist fighting for transformation and inclusion before leaving to the UK to foster his studies. So I checked, I looked him up online. I saw he has several degrees, including a master's in development economics from the University of East Anglia in the UK. He has been a top or world-class civil servant and worked at the World Trade Organization, where he represented South Africa at the UN. And I also noticed that he's a lecturer at the National School of Governance. So I saw him not only as a great diplomat, but an intellectual and a fantastic leader. So with this in mind, I was confident. So we approached his office for collaboration. And to cut a long story short, here we are this evening. Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you very much. As some of you may know, in 2034, our university will be 130 years old. So in mapping our aspiration for the celebration of our 130 years, we adopted a vision called Vision 130, which aspired to become in which the university aspired to be a research-led, student-centered, and regionally engaged university that contributes to development and social justice through the production of a globally competitive graduate and knowledge. Under this vision, among other things, we commit to contribute to social justice with an emphasis on inclusiveness, the reduction of inequality, and the creation of opportunities and pathways out of poverty and dispossession. So to this end, the faculty advance a transformational institutional culture that demonstrates our value, which include Ubuntu, togetherness, and inclusiveness. In this perspective, the faculty promote diversity and reject any form of discrimination based on, but not necessarily limited to race, gender, ethnicity, belief, disability, or other forms of exclusion. The faculty endeavors to attract, retain, and develop staff from designated groups. The faculty understand diversity to include also an emphasis on epistemic diversity and commit to creating space for an acceptance of constructive and critical engagement. So, we are a space where a diversity of ideas and perspectives is not just tolerated, but fostered through discussion and subsequent implementation. It is on this backdrop that the Faculty of Law enters into an MOU with the broad-based Black Economic Empowerment Commission to chart ways to foster economic transformation in the country. In 1996, you will remember, our country adopted a constitution informed by the right to equality, human dignity, and the need to repair the ills of the past. It is with this in mind that the government adopted the BBBEE Act of 2023 as amended in 2013 with the ultimate objective to foster economic transformation. This gives you the legal context of the establishment of the BEE Commission in the Department of Trade and Industry. Through this partnership with the BEE Commission, amongst others, we will be engaging on programs intended to bring about new knowledge of the BEE Act, economic transformation, and empowering the public on economic inclusion and related legislation. While the BEE is embedded in a module on corporate law at the Department of Mercantile Law, this partnership will unlock new perspective to develop this module further. Prof. Snyman will later tell you a bit more about that. Now, on research, we will engage on the research on BEE compliance and gaps in the implementation. We will also organize together public debate. We will cooperate in public policy dialogues on economic transformation and accompanying legislation. We will jointly create academic platforms, and in this perspective, we will jointly cooperate in producing scholarly seminars, conference on BEE and economic transformation. Of course, with all these activities, we will try and make sure that we come out with academic output, such as edited volume or special edition of journals dealing with BEE, law, and transformation. We will develop jointly, we will co-create some short learning programs, postgraduate diploma on BEE, and economic transformation. Through this project, the UFS seeks to become the hub of the country for training in BEE compliance, as well as other aspects of the BEE Act. We seek to be the place where the BEE Commission sends stakeholders for training and update on compliances with the BEE requirement as per the Act. Not only this will enhance our collaboration with the industry, it will also generate engaged scholarship with a societal impact, which is central to the vision of the university. The MOU will help in inspiring excellence, transforming lives through quality, impact, and care, as equally prescribed by the vision of the university. I would like to use this opportunity to call on all businesses or the private sector in the Free State and beyond to join the law faculty in its drive to improve compliance with BEE requirements and contribute to the economic transformation in South Africa. Our collaboration is necessary to driving excellence, transforming life, and making an impact as guided by the vision of the university. Our alliance is a critical tool to advance economic transformation, which is essential in recalibrating the future of this great university. In closing, given that the importance or the significance of a partnership lies in its implementation, I'm happy to announce that in the coming days, a joint coordination committee will be established to kickstart the implementation of this MOU. To the BEE Commissioner, Mr. Matona, another massive thanks for your support to these partnerships as testified by your presence here and the lecture you will be giving this evening. You know, I am very grateful for that, because when I told some friends in Gauteng about this project, one of them said to me, and I quote, he said, "Transformation in the Free State, no hale. That cannot be." And the other one said, "Ish, Batum, my brother, you can't, that will not happen." And you know, we were all laughing. And all I said was, look, not only transformation and economic empowerment is well crafted in the vision of the university. If you have the right partners, it is feasible. And Mr. Commissioner, you are the right partner for this project. So I am very confident that our collaboration will translate into an outstanding university experience for our students, our community, and our country. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Prof. Kamka, for setting the scene and giving context to the purpose of this evening. Now that we know why we are here and how we got here, I would like to take this opportunity then to request that we get an official welcome from the university. And for that, I will be calling on the acting Vice-Chancellor, Professor Vasu Reddy. And before I call him to the podium, if you allow me, I will just quickly read through just a paragraph.
Just a few lines.
Well, he's my boss, so if he says no, then...
Just a few lines.
Just the two first lines. Okay. All right. No, thank you. Prof. Vasu Reddy is the Deputy Vice-Chancellor for Research Internationalization at the University of the Free State. He completed a BA and BA Honours and a High Diploma in Education at the University of Natal in Durban, and a Master's degree in Comparative Literature at WITS, and a PhD in Gender Studies from the UKZN. He began his career in languages, comparative literature, and gender studies, and as a lecturer at the same time, at the institution in 1993. Over the years, Prof. Vasu has been involved in obtaining substantive research funds, contributed to numerous projects, including topics such as gender-based violence, affirmative action, poverty, food security, sexuality, education, public intellectuals, and equality, to name a few. Now I'm summarizing. Beyond his academic work, Prof. Reddy enjoys company of friends, colleagues, enjoying time with his cat, Tao, his partner, his family, as well as a good glass of wine and cooking. Prof. Reddy, you're welcome.
Talking about cooking, I think I'm sure most people don't want to listen to me, but to have a drink and wine. But I know we have to get going. Thank you so much, Program Director, for your kind words, and Dean, Commissioner, and all the dignitaries, as I would say, also all protocol observed. It is my real distinct privilege and honor to welcome all of you, certainly to the beautiful Bloemfontein, the campus. This is not the University of the Free State. We have several campuses in a multi-campus residential university. The South Campus, a couple of kilometers away from here, and as you also know, the beautiful Kwakwa campus in the Eastern Free State. You've heard from the Dean what our aspirations are, so I'm not going to repeat it. I'm going to skip that. But I want to turn to the fact that we as a university firmly believe in the value of stakeholder engagement. Our mission, as you've also heard, is to have maximum impact on our societies through the work that we do, whether it is in teaching, research, engaged scholarship, but more importantly, also with collaboration with like-minded partners, as we're about to do tonight. So we're honored as a university to not only host all of you tonight, but to collaborate with you around a vital South African issue: economic transformation. We've heard that word transformation, and the theme is certainly quite relevant today as it was yesterday. It's also about our present and our future. We live in a time characterized by far-reaching changes on all fronts, changes that require all of us to continuously respond and adapt, and to come up with diverse solutions to the challenges that we face. As a university, we remain relevant. We're also committed to fulfilling the needs of the societies that we serve, and to prepare our students for the world of work that is always in a state of flux and change. And we accomplish all of this, colleagues, through ongoing transformation. And there are different strategies to achieve all of this. You've heard from the Dean. At the end of 2022, we formulated a new vision for the university, Vision 130. Why? Because it's not just a number. In 2034, the university turns 130 years. And of course, we've also outlined in that vision what are some of our key aspirations: academic excellence, maximizing societal impact, and more importantly, to recognize diversity, not in theory, but in practice, to be inclusive and to be an equitable university. So it's an intentional and deliberate aspiration, which is not inward-looking, but outwardly focused. But let me turn to my second theme, which is about advancing economic transformation. This includes reimagining an economy that is inclusive, sustainable, and representative of all South Africans. And we believe this should be done in an integrated, sustainable way with specific goals, deliverables, and checkpoints to help us get there. Our country, as we know, has made excellent strides in creating opportunities and correcting past imbalances. But our economy is still marked by stark contrasts and, as you will all agree, disconcerting inequalities. Which brings me to the legislative framework, and of course it's held by our Faculty of Law, which is quite meaningful. For the sake of clarity, sustainability, and fairness, it is vital that economic transformation operates within a sound legal framework. In this regard, legislation such as the Broad-Based Black Economic Empowerment Act is crucial, and we as universities have an important role to play in disseminating information about its content and its application. After all, a university's educational role is not simply confined to its students, but also extends to its staff and, fundamentally, the society which make us up. So by spreading information and providing insight into important pieces of legislation and legal principles, we help to shape public discourses and indeed decision-making. And all of this, I believe, falls into the scope of the Memorandum of Understanding that will be signed tonight. So we're establishing a collective and collaborative framework to facilitate knowledge sharing on legislation, as well as to enhance efforts about public awareness of the Act and related inclusion policies. Which enables me now to turn to the third theme very briefly, and that is, of course, no entity can drive economic transformation on its own. It's not a one-man or one-woman show. If we want real, tangible results, it is essential that the public and the private sectors, business and industry leaders, policymakers, different communities, and also role players within the higher education sector all work together. And I believe that universities have an important role to play in establishing and also expanding sustained economic transformation. As custodians, in many ways, as well as transferers of knowledge, we're helping to build a new generation of economic role players. So at the UFS, and this is the fundamental issue, in the sea change that we see developing at the university going forward, we are also focused on fostering an entrepreneurial mindset and a wide community-focused vision in our students, encouraging them to prioritize inclusive growth. As generators of research and innovation, we're also contributing not only to knowledge, but also towards skills and skills transfer. And as drivers of social impact, we're helping to shape policies and devise strategies to remove systemic barriers that hamper and impede economic participation. Ultimately, we want a more diversified economy. And that is fundamentally where the university is also entering a focus, a firm focus predicated on innovation through connection, if that is the theme of the key message. We aim to think about societal issues in new and creative ways, but to do so in collaboration with role players from diverse sectors representing, as the Dean pointed out, epistemic perspectives might be big words, but diverse views. So, we want to tap into the potential that is locked up in thinking across silos, across disciplines, in order to co-design and co-create solutions by drawing on the collective wisdom. But much of all of this, which brings me to my fourth theme, has much to do with the values of the University of the Free State. At the UFS, we believe that transformation and growth should be rooted in a set of immutable values. In other words, unchanging in many ways. We would like to single out two of those values, which are perfectly reflected in this MOU, and if you heard the Dean carefully, he touched on some of them. The first is social justice. As a university, we seek to advance the values of human dignity through ethical and transparent institutional responsiveness. And I would even add responsibility, because responsiveness can be reactive, but responsibility is proactive. So we want to address the problems that exist in our country and in our communities and respond with maximum social impact. So this is key. Pathways that can only be formed through education and economic transformation in the challenges that we seek to confront. The second value is accountability. And this points to our collective obligation as an institution to our students, to our staff, our workers, stakeholders, and society in general. We strive to be accountable, responsible, and I would add also dutiful in our actions, and to be conscientious in our utilization. Very important, the next words that I'm about to articulate. Conscientious in our utilization of the financial and physical resources of the university. But it also points to the responsible use of knowledge and skills and applying it to serve a wider public interest. So in closing, I'm truly excited by the possibilities that we are unlocking tonight, Commissioner, and about how it aligns perfectly with the values and principles we hold dear as an institution, and I would also say as a country. Mr. Matona, Commissioner, we sincerely look forward to your address, which will no doubt further clarify some of the issues I've touched on in much greater detail. We as a university are looking forward to pursuing innovation through connection with all the role players present here tonight, with the Memorandum of Understanding serving as a solid starting point. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Prof, and 1,000 apologies for insisting on, on a proper introduction. And thank you again for just reaffirming the university's commitment, that responsibility, and that willingness to partner with the partners that we are going to sign the MOU here with tonight. Colleagues, moving on, the next part of the program really is to give an overview of the MOU. This is the reason we are here. We are going to sign the MOU, but what is it? What does it entail? What is the purpose and what is the vision? And to do that, I want to welcome Mr. Mofihli Teleki, who is the Director of Stakeholder Relations and Communication at the Broad-Based Black Economic Empowerment Commission. Mr. Teleki, you're welcome.
Thank you, Program Director. Let me first start by observing all protocol and also greet everybody in the room, esteemed colleagues, the student community, staff of the University of the Free State, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. We gather here today to witness a significant milestone in our journey towards economic transformation and empowerment. And this moment is not merely about signing this MOU, but it's about other things. And one of them is our commitment to redefine the possibilities, foster innovation, and cultivate a future where equity actually prevails. And therefore, we find ourselves at the intersection of academic excellence as well as economic transformation. where the potential for change is not only possible, but also palpable. And so the partnership we are about to embark on with the University of Free State signifies our collective efforts in resolving particular problems on Black economic empowerment and transformation. And I think Prof. Reddy also intimated to our commissioner that we need to hear more about what are some of these things that we need to be resolving. But as I explained the nature and scope of the MOU that is about to be signed, I think it's also important that I also explain why our undertaking to sign this MOU remains necessary. Our agreement with the University of the Free State is necessitated by the existing gap in research on Black economic empowerment, as well as the impact thereof. And I'm sure all of us in this room will agree that way too often the conversations around BBBEE have always been fragmented, laden with misunderstanding, and have stoked divisions amongst us. And so without a foundation grounded in rigorous research and dialogue that is supported by empiricism, we can never hope we can never engage in a constructive manner when it comes to BBBEE. And this memorandum serves as our bridge towards a future where knowledge fuels understanding and action on BEE. Our partnership embodies a commitment to close the knowledge gap on economic transformation in BEE. And together with the university, we will build a new body of knowledge, one that illuminates pathways to compliance on BBBEE. We hope this new knowledge will help inform our policymakers about potential policy choices that are necessary for the future in the country. And I would like to then just briefly explain the objectives of the MOU, which appear to be quite ambitious but yet essential. I won't go into detail because Prof. Reddy as well as Prof. Kamga have already explained some parts of what is it that we intend to do. But I think key among those is that firstly, we aspire to enhance access to research through conferences, seminars, public policy dialogues that will ignite awareness and increase the number of compliant entities across the landscape. Secondly, we will ensure that there is sustained relevance of the BEE legislation for public good and benefit, and it is our duty to do so, the duty to ensure that policies not only exist but thrive in their ability to uplift and empower all of us as citizens. Thirdly, we will contribute to a broader legislative review agenda, ensuring that transformation is not just a tick box exercise, but a journey we undertake together with renewed vigor and purpose. Lastly, we intend to integrate this partnership into the academic programs of the Faculty of Law, enriching minds of future leaders and practitioners who will carry this torch forward. We will we'll collaborate with other partners in order to harness diverse perspectives, ensuring that knowledge production remains robust and multidimensional. Now, as we sign this MOU tonight, let us remember that this is just the beginning. The real work actually lies ahead of all of us. The work that requires dedication, collaboration, and an unwavering commitment to our shared vision. Together, we can transform not just the policies or legislation, but we can turn challenges that we are talking about today into opportunities. And we believe that the programs that we will embark on will lead to a sustained state of innovation where you find that the promotion of entrepreneurs becomes a reality for years to come. And in this instance, we need to also imagine a future where every graduate of this university enters the workforce as a leader and a change maker. This is a future where ideals of Black economic empowerment should be woven into every fabric of our corporate, public, and private sectors. and this dream is not distant. We believe that it is a dream that we can achieve through our current and future collaborative efforts. As I close, ladies and gentlemen, let me thank you for being part of this momentous occasion and for your commitment to a brighter, more equitable future for all. And please let's embark on this journey with hope and determination. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Teleki, for providing us with that background and purpose of the MOU. I picked up, you said the aspirations are ambitious, but what are we if not ambitious? We need to be ambitious, and the old adage, and perhaps overused, if you shoot for the moon, you land somewhere among the stars. So it's very important that the MOU and the context of it is explained to us. I see our friends are back, and you'll see on the program that the next item, just before we get to the keynote address, is a musical item by the choir. So you can take it away.
Oh
Wow, that was beautiful. One more round of applause, please. Thank you. Maybe something that we must add in the MOU is that we must have a concert because these guys are wonderful. All right. But really, on to serious matters. We are at the point of the evening where we want to call upon our guest speaker to provide his keynote address. And as you would have seen from the program, our guest speaker is Mr. Tsediso Matona, who is the commissioner of the Broad-Based Black Economic Empowerment Commission. Mr. Matona is a seasoned public servant of 3 decades. That's 30 years, Commissioner. 30 years. Of which 16 have been served as Director General. He was Secretary of Planning in the National Planning Commission in the Presidency, South African government from 2015 to 2021. Currently, Mr. Matona is the Commissioner responsible for promoting compliance with the Broad-Based Black Economic Empowerment Law. He served as Director General of the Department of Public Enterprises from January 2011 to 2014, and the Department of Trade and Industry, now the DTIC, from 2005 to 2010. He was the Chief Executive of Power Utility ESCOM from 2014 in October to May 2015. He served as a trade diplomat at SA's Embassy to the United Nations at the World Trade Organization in Geneva, Switzerland from 1996 to 1998. He holds bachelor's honors degrees in economics and political studies from the University of Cape Town, a master's degree in development economics from the University of East Anglia in the UK, various certificates in international trade from Switzerland, executive leadership and management, infrastructure development from Harvard University's JFK School of Governance in the US, and catalyzing change for sustainable development from Stockholm University in Sweden. He is a fellow of the Chartered Governance Institute of Southern Africa and has served on various boards of state-owned companies and non-profit organizations, including a position of board chairperson. He also serves as an executive director of Mendoza. The commissioner's lecture will be entitled B-BBEE and Transformation in South Africa, Reflections on Opportunities, Options, and Challenges to Implementation. Please help me welcome the commissioner.
Thank you very much, Program Director. I'm very pleased that the evening has arrived at the main course. We've been having very nice starters for my talk today. Let me just say that I'm very, very pleased to be here. I bring warm greetings from the BEE Commission, from the Department of Trade and Industry in which we are housed, from the government of South Africa, of which the Commission is an important arm. I greet you all. I greet Professor Vasu Reddy, who's the Deputy Vice Chancellor for Research and Internationalization, representing the Vice Chancellor here, Dr. Mbulelo, I'm told Dr. Mbulelo, the head of the Department of Small Business Development, might join us. He was held up somewhere. Professor Serges Kamcha, the Dean of the Law Faculty, Professor Elizabeth Sneeman van Deventer, the head of the Department of Mercantile Law, members of the business community who might be here, members of the Black Management Forum. I'm told that they will also be here, the university community, the students community, colleagues who are accompanying me on this visit, ladies and gentlemen, and I dare not forget the choir for their beautiful rendition of music. We thank the university for the opportunity to reflect on the policy of broad-based Black economic empowerment, which serves as our country's tool for promoting transformation and economic inclusion in South Africa. I know there are many people out there who consider the subject of BEE and transformation a matter of fundamental importance to who we are as a country, as a nation, and what kind of future we envisage for South Africa. As such, I consider it a matter of existential importance, one that deserves respect and responsibility in our conversations about it. And yes, conversations that must be ongoing, conversations that must continue, because transformation is a project. But equally, conversations that must bear fruit, that must take us forward. It is indeed fortuitous that we are gathered here today to reflect on BEE and transformation at the very moment when the subject has been thrust into center stage of public discourse at home and abroad on account of utterances and executive decisions by the newly elected United States President Donald Trump and some members of his administration, and their interactions with members of South Africa's AfriForum and Solidarity civil society groups. I had, in any case, planned to talk about the international aspects of BEE as a way of benchmarking. So these developments, in fact, reinforce the importance of locating BEE, locating the policy in a global context. So the international observations are as good a place to start as any. What is remarkable about the narrative that accompanies these developments triggered by the US president is the way they are turning South Africa's history on its head. In particular, South Africa's race relations history, by suggesting that white people in South Africa are being targeted and discriminated against. On the contrary, what the world has always known about South Africa is the centuries of colonial oppression, colonial dispossession, and domination of indigenous Africans, and its incarnation in 1948 as apartheid, and its denial of Black people's human rights, as well as their economic and political exclusion through a battery of racial discriminatory laws, unprecedented in the world. Indeed, so egregious was the injustice that Black people were subjected to in South Africa under apartheid that the world rallied behind our struggle and declared apartheid a crime against humanity through resolutions at the United Nations. And through this concerted action, the world helped pave the way for the transition to democracy, in which the people of South Africa, we signed on to reconciliation. We signed on to being a united people. We signed on to non-racialism, non-sexism, and equality as principles that we would be governed by, which are enshrined in our Constitution, the Constitution that we adopted unanimously, through all our political parties in 1996, and which serves as the supreme law of the land. Ironically, it was in the United States that international solidarity with the plight of black people found its strongest and most broad-based expression through the anti-apartheid movement that emerged there. And thanks to the resonance between the struggles of South Africa's black people and the struggles of African Americans in the civil rights movement. The global context is also important for South Africa because today, in today's world, in many parts of the globe, public policy has long incorporated the principle that proactive and targeted measures are necessary to promote socio-economic upliftment and inclusion of certain population demographics, of certain geographies within countries and regions. And this out of the recognition that it would not be achieved by market forces on their own. For example, in the US itself, where the concept of affirmative action actually was born, or in Malaysia, to reconcile and include marginalized groups there, Indians, Chinese. But even within the European Union, through what they call regional policy, it's a policy that targeted underdeveloped regions of Europe to divert resources to them for their upliftment. So all of these approaches of targeted transformation have actually evolved into formal policies globally, going under different labels, such as diversity, equity, inclusion, and even find expression, for example, in the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. I was actually heartwarmed when I walked in here and I saw a banner with Sustainable Development Goals, which embed the concept of transformation through proactive action. Or even of late, the phenomenon called environment, social, and governance, ESG standards, all premised on the recognition that stability, prosperity, and sustainability require overcoming socio-economic disparities and broadening participation and belonging among citizenry. So if there is a positive from the developments triggered by President Trump's stance against our country, it is to remind us that our transformation is unfinished business, to confront us with the question, what now about BEE? It is to drive home the fact that the matter of BEE and transformation is our domestic issue. It is our sovereign issue that is best answered but by none other than ourselves. And in thinking the answer to this question, it is necessary that we also correctly characterize the issue to ensure that we do not address the wrong issue. So in this regard, for example, you hear some misleading descriptions of BEE as ANC policy or as race-based policy in some media quarters, which reduces it to party politics as something that can easily be dispensed with. It is to divorce BEE from its fundamental rationale and its rootedness in South Africa's democratic constitution. It is not about party politics. It is above party politics. It is a foundational matter, a constitutional issue, in which the people of South Africa, when we adopted this constitution, we proclaimed that, and I quote, we recognize the injustices of the past. And we believe that South Africa belongs to all who live in it, including its economy. South Africa's economy belongs to all South Africans. And that we commit, the Constitution goes on, to heal divisions of the past and to establish a society based on social justice. And to this end, that we shall adopt laws and other measures to advance persons disadvantaged by unfair discriminations, including through the use of public procurement. So it is important to appreciate that the BEE Act of 22, well, the original BEE Act became the legislative expression of these constitutional principles. And that this happened after extensive engagement, consultations, and compromise. Many of you who are old enough to remember those debates will know that there was at some stage the notion of nationalization, large-scale nationalizations of the controlling heights of the economy. But the outcome was that neither would that happen. As a compromise that was abandoned, but equally, neither would it happen through do nothing, leave it to the market policy. In fact, from its beginning, the model of BEE was very modest. It deferred to business and economic logic and rules, as much as it also deferred to conscience, a sense of what is right and what is wrong, meaning that actually compliance would be voluntary. The approach is compliance, do it because it's the right thing to do, not by compulsion. Even, for example, the initial scoping that is led by organizations like the NAFCOC, National African Federations of Chambers of Commerce, of the likes of Dr. Mutsuenyane and others, they focused on very modest goals of advancing black people in senior management positions in the private sector. It was only after a commission of wise men and women chaired at that time by our current president, Cyril Ramaphosa, in a commission to look at how we advance economic inclusion in South Africa, that it began to be concerned with the legacy of apartheid and focus on the need to change the racial composition of ownership in line with the equality and redress clauses of the Constitution. So out of that was born then the legislation as we know it. Of course, the phase of BEE that followed at the time involved transactions that featured high-profile personalities, typically those with close proximity to the top echelons of power, of politics and business, and that in that way had the this unintended phenomenon in turn came with some reputational harm to the policy, that it was for the few and chosen. Of course, that's not true anymore, because the more recent broad-based, in fact, the broad-based part of the policy was added because it was to say it cannot be for the few, it must be for the broadest base of our people. So it is not true that it is only a policy that benefits a few and chosen. In 2013, the legislation was amended, as I said, to broaden it, to deal with matters of human resource development, human capital, enterprise development, preferential procurement, skills development, and the promotion of the acquisition of assets by black people. It has also established the BEE Commission because it needed an authority to oversee, to monitor, to guide, to advise, to advocate, which are the functions of the BEE Commission. But it also started to introduce some sense of penalties because of what has emerged and still continuing to be circumvention of the policy through fronting and misrepresentation. But as it evolves, it was clear that the policy also needs a broader supportive ecosystem. The codes of good practice, which enable uniform implementation, which enable measurement. The verification regime, verification system to affirm and confirm BEE credentials. The issue of funding through the establishment of the National Empowerment Fund to promote and facilitate access to finance by black people. In fact, access to funding is the leading constraint to advancing transformation. In particular, access to unencumbered funding. Current funding, the dominant funding out there, tends to be accompanied by onerous conditions and lock-in periods that diminish the accrual of economic value by black shareholders. But it also involved the establishment of a management development program, which is an academic program offered at University of South Africa and WITS, to provide for a standardized curriculum for the verification industry, to equip candidates with the tools and knowledge to work with the legislation in various spaces, in business and in government. So, monitoring of BEE in the era of the Commission, as I reflect on 20 years, the journey, 20 years, because it's 20 years actually, this legislation has been in force. The truth is that it is already established as part of the policy architecture and toolbox for promoting transformation. It's already embedded in the economy. And with the establishment of the Commission, we're dealing with a challenge that was previously there, that there was no monitoring, there was no sense of how far are we, how do we tell how far are we with the policy. And so the Commission has been striving to build an evidence base of progress on implementing the legislation. Because evidence gathering is a critical arbitrator in debates about BEE. And I'm sure it's an area that certainly I'm looking for in our partnership with the University of Free State to contribute into. Because it is easy for anybody to claim that BEE has failed without any clear empirical basis for saying so. But my view of the country's scorecard on BEE is that it is a mixed picture. It is neither true that BEE has failed, nor that it has been totally successful. It is work in progress. Our data tells us that important inroads are being made towards meaningful and productive participation by black people in the economy, thanks to the policy. Whether one is looking at the increasing numbers of black people who own and run their own businesses, or who are suppliers to governments and big corporates, who are managers, directors, professionals, and who are acquiring productive skills, as well as communities who are beneficiaries of social investments that companies are making to contribute to BEE, contribute to transformation. But much more still needs to be done. We estimate black ownership by looking at the BEE certificates of companies that we collect out there in the market. And for a couple of years, they've been telling us that the average black ownership in any given period is 30%. It varies a bit. And black women ownership is 14%. But you must have some sense of context, because this is a context in which black people constitute 92% of South Africa's population. 92% of South Africa's citizens are black people. So you've got to have some sense of perspective. And by the way, this is a recent census, State SA census. White people constitute 7.8% of the population, and yet they own and control anything 70% and upwards of the economy. We are doing another study where we've gathered a much more wider database of certificates, and initial indications show that, in fact, the numbers for black ownership are actually less than the number that I've just given you. We also track major transactions, any transactions, BEE transactions, 25 million and above, which are submitted so that we can vet them and make sure that the black people stand to benefit from them. And we've been doing this since 2017, and we've looked at 705 deals with a value of 1 trillion of assets acquired by black shareholders. So there are steady improvements in the BEE scorecard. You know, when one looks at things like enterprise and supply development, skills development, and so on. But the norm is that the targets are not fully met. At any given point in time, average achievement across the scorecard is about 60%. It is important to make the point that for as long as there is not a sufficient participation of black people in the productive sectors of the economy, who create businesses, we will not be able to address the challenge of unemployment in South Africa. There are just too few employers in the economy. So we must manage this policy in a way that creates sustainable businesses that can employ more and more of our people. So I've spoken about the challenges confronting BEE. I won't go through them, all of them, but let me mention a few. We see that implementation is not all companies, some do it, that integrate BEE in company strategies, so that whilst it promotes equity, it also supports the business to grow. There are companies that get it right, and so have become vested in the policy because it ticks the right boxes. But there are also companies who still do window dressing, where black people actually are not beneficiaries. I've spoken about fronting, where we still find that some people make gardeners, cleaners at home, domestic servants, directors, without actually informing them of their rights and without affording them the benefits of their directorships. Of course, there are other sophisticated forms of fronting. So up to now, since the Commission has been in office, we have handled 1,300 complaints, BBBEE-related complaints. Many of them, about 84% of them being about fronting. So, transformation is happening, but it is slow because implementation is inadequate. For most of our people, the black people, the expectations of the policy remain unfulfilled. Poverty, unemployment, and inequality is still the lived reality of too many of our people, posing a menace to social cohesion, to us being a country at peace with ourselves. It's an indictment. The state of affairs is an indictment. It's an indictment on both the government and corporate South Africa, and begs questions of, is there buy-in? Is there commitment to transformation? There's no doubt that this is one of the most contested policies existing in our country at the moment, since our transition from apartheid. It shouldn't be surprising, because everywhere in the world, matters to do with the economy are terrain of both competition and contestation. There are matters involving vested interests and aspirant interests, of haves and have-nots, of insiders and outsiders. So this is political economy 101. We don't usually take a political economy lens to BEE, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't have political economy dynamics of its own. And I'm sure this is a line of inquiry that could be interesting to researchers and universities like the University of Free State. It is important that we keep in mind that BEE is about the problem of a racially skewed ownership, opportunities and participation on the one hand, and the tool. Because some people quarrel with the tool, and it's not a perfect tool, in a way that seems to suggest that there is no problem to be solved, that there is no need to make a fuss about the status quo. I believe that as a country, we have reached a crucial moment of needing to reflect, perhaps even reset, of needing to find each other and to be self-conscious about the imperative of transformation and the direction forward from here. This is on account of our score sheet, our scorecard as I've given you, but also on account of the challenge that is emerging from outside of our country, that is presented to our sovereign right as a people to determine what is right for our country. I am encouraged that the government of national unity that took office last year has, in its statement of intent, made a commitment to transformation and an inclusive economy as one of the priorities. But is this a no-brainer? Because that commitment to transformation by the current government, the GNU, is an acknowledgement that the problem for which the policy was created to solve still prevails, that the status quo is untenable and must change. And in my view, an acknowledgement of the problem is halfway to finding the solution for it. The question is what's going to be done. So the president, you hear him, even when he opened parliament, recommitted to the policy. So the policy is still on the table. My minister, the minister who is the custodian of BEE, Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition, has also said that we start with what's on the table. We've gained much experience from utilizing the tool. There are achievements to build from and shortcomings to be learned from. As the BEE Commission, and personally as a commissioner, in the way I know the policy and the legislation, I believe that the potential of the policy has not yet fully materialized. We have not yet, to quote a phrase, emptied the cupboards. We have not yet emptied the cupboards in terms of implementation. So as a commission, going forward, we will continue to promote improved compliance, improved implementations, and improved outcomes. We are going to continue to scan the environment for ideas and opportunities that promote progress with transformation and combat anti-transformation threats which emerge from time to time. So, what is our to-do list going forward? We must improve compliance and implementation. We are a country governed by the rule of law. There must be compliance with legislation, especially this legislation. We need to focus more on impact rather than on inputs. Companies report we spend so much money, we spend so much, but we don't see the impact. So we need to shift our eye on impact. And again, it's an area that the partnership with the university can assist us. We need to strengthen the ecosystem. We need to incentivize innovative initiatives. We need leadership, championship, and accountability. We need to combat fronting. We need to strengthen this tool, being the BEE Commission, so that we can reach areas, and our eye and scrutiny can reach areas that we currently are not able to because of our capacity. As I conclude, Rome is burning in South Africa. The bickering about important matters of our future can only carry on at the expense of missing opportunities and ultimately at the expense of possible collective peril. We are challenged to rally around this moment and to expand our efforts and time to more promising and positive effect. Universities such as the University of the Free State are in an opportune position to contribute to meaningful research onto the policy, interrogating it in a constructive manner, illuminating pathways through which we can advance it, and promoting wider knowledge about the policy. I traced the evolution of the policy in order to make the point and show the point that it is adaptable, it is amenable to responding to whatever is thrown at it by actual experience. It is amenable to be made fit for purpose, but only if there is sincere and shared commitment to addressing the demon of racial inequality in the economy. The commitment to transforming our economy into an economy for all and not the few. Only if there's sufficient magnanimity to see through the blinkers, the oogklaps of privilege that's bequeathed by an iniquitous history. Only if there is willingness to work together on the problems that separate us as compatriots, and which thereby stifle our potential as a nation. Only if there is a willingness to sign onto a shared future and shared prosperity. Some might say this is idealistic, but I believe it is possible. We have it within us to do it and to succeed. After all, it is those nations and economies that dare to idealize and visualize a better future, that prosper and thrive, that dare to break the shackles of pessimism, mediocrity, and stagnation, and that instead embrace possibility and opportunity. It is those nations that thrive and prosper. I believe we are capable of it. So I hear, and I'm sure we all hear, that the president has been talking about this big, grand national dialogue about the future of the country. It's been talked about, and they said it's going to be this year. My hope and expectation when that dialogue happens is that this subject of BEE and transformation is on the agenda. And I'm sure it is going to be a national dialogue that academics and the university and other universities will be interested in. And I'm sure you'll be keeping a close eye on developments in that regard. I thank you for your attention.
I don't think we appreciated that enough. Can we just give another? Thank you so much for the talk, Commissioner. It's a matter that touches each and every one of us as economic participants. So thank you for the insights. I don't know if you will be willing to take 1 or 2 questions, 2 maximum if they are burning questions. I know we are behind time, but since we have access to you, I don't know when next we're going to have this access. So perhaps if there's 1 or 2 questions that are burning, short and sweet. We're still thinking. Okay. I see there's 1 hand. We only have 1 mic.
Right, thank you. This is directed to the Commissioner of the B-BBEE. My question is about the World Bank has cited broad economic empowerment laws and anti-business policies as a deterrent to attracting foreign direct investment. Does it seem as if, I don't know, I'd like to ask him personally, does he personally think that BEE has achieved its goals in light of what's currently happening in the country right now? I'm sure we all know that there's a sort of discourse, taxes about, well, VAT is about to go up by, we don't know how much, but these kind of things are internationally cited as deterrents to growing the economy. I don't know. That's my question. I don't know if I should.
Right. Thank you. I see there's just one more hand. I did say 2 questions. Wasn't a hand? Okay.
Good afternoon, Commissioner. I'm Sean Lakey. I just want to give my support to the BEE Commission. Wonderful job that you are doing. The gentleman raised a question which I answered on LinkedIn, well, put my statement on LinkedIn, is that we must change in our mindset and not be dictated to by the outside forces. And one of our biggest problems is capitalism taking over the inner being of a country or of a group of persons. And I always say to, I think it's the UIM, the DA, and if you can take your solidarities and all those guys together, why is it that the banks have level 1 and level 2 BEE certificates if they're not that dependent on government business? So if they could do it, why can't the others do it? And I think one of the things that the Commission must really look into is that you come across as a very dictative in the legal framework, and the message that is going through is that the fronting issue, it's more what you want to pounce on as the Commission. And I think we need to open up the boundaries for everybody to be participative. And through this platform that you've created now, I think this is really going to be one of those things that are going to be stand out. So it's not much of a question, but just support for you.
All right, thank you.
I had a bit of the question, so you'll help me if I didn't quite get what you were saying. So there are 2 things I heard. One was, has BEE achieved its goal? All right, and then the other one was what the World Bank was saying about BEE recently. So I thought that the entire submission that I have made today is that, yes, BEE is making progress. There are beneficiaries of BEE today who are billionaires, multimillionaires on the back of the policy, owners of businesses that would probably not been able to get to where they are. So it is work in progress. It is work in progress. But we must accelerate the pace, and that's really the point I'm making. Because the reality of inequity and inequality is too stark. So we need to up our game a bit. And that's really the point that I'm making. Now, it's not the first time we hear that BEE is a deterrent to investment. But we haven't seen the evidence. So I haven't seen what the empirical basis of what the World Bank is saying. What I do know is that for foreign investment, there is a special dispensation. You don't, sometimes investors say, no, I don't want to give stake, I don't want to give shares. The policy of my country, my company doesn't allow me to give equity. And then we offer other alternatives. Surely you can do something. Surely you can contribute to skills development. Surely you can contribute to supplier development. Surely you're going to be sourcing goods from South Africa. So I haven't quite heard. So I'm very concerned, in fact, about that statement from the World Bank, because it is actually the very World Bank that 5 years, 10 years maybe ago, released a report which spoke to South Africa's unfinished transition, and where they were demonstrating that the economy is still very much in the hands of a few, and that this is unsustainable. So how do they flip now and say the policy, because they were actually saying that the policy is not achieving the kind of impact objectives intended quick enough, acknowledging progress, acknowledging change. Definitely there is change, but not enough of it. So they said that. I was at the presidency at the time. You heard I was in the National Planning Commission. We actually worked with them on that report. So I have to go and look into that report. I don't want to rely on what was in the media, because the media, they are very selective. They give a slant to particular issues because they want to drive a particular narrative that says we shouldn't do this thing. No, it's too important. We must find a way of making it work. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner, and thank you for indulging us. Colleagues, at this moment in time, I just want to call upon Prof. Elizabeth Snyman van Deventer, the Head of Department of Mercantile Law, to just provide us with a message of support. Prof.
Thank you. Thank you, MC, Dr. Simba. For his labor law students, Dr. Simba doctoral degree was awarded this week. Good evening, DVC, Prof. Reddy, Commissioner Mr. Matona, esteemed guests, colleagues, and students. The Department of Mercantile Law commits to supporting and collaborating with the broad-based Black Economic Empowerment Commission in building a more inclusive, equitable, and prosperous South Africa. At the heart of our nation's legal framework lies the recognition that economic empowerment must be both a right and a priority. Working with the Commission, we can contribute to building a future where economic opportunities are available to all, regardless of background, and where every citizen can truly benefit from the growth and prosperity of our nation. As the Department of Mercantile Law, we understand that law is not just a system of rules, but a powerful tool to foster fairness, inclusion, and justice. Our commitment to this cause goes beyond simply providing legal advice, drafting policy, or publishing on Black economic empowerment. It is about actively engaging with initiatives that promote empowerment and sustainable economic participation. Collaboration with the Commission is not just a strategic partnership for us. It is an opportunity to contribute to meaningful change. By working hand in hand with the Commission, we will be able to contribute to creating a stronger, more effective legal framework that can shape a business environment where Black economic participation is not only encouraged, but legally and practically supported. The Department of Mercantile Law is committed to continuous education and awareness around issues of Black economic empowerment and transformation. We recognize the importance of equipping both the private and public sector with knowledge and tools necessary to implement meaningful change. We shall do so through workshops, seminars, and other platforms to promote Black economic empowerment compliance and ensure that South Africa's legal landscape remains conducive to inclusive economic development. We are also looking forward to working with the Commission in developing different modules and programs, especially in our postgraduate program mix, through which we will promote compliance and knowledge of Black economic empowerment. The department is the only mercantile or commercial law department in South Africa teaching Black economic empowerment as part of our module on corporate law, the module Law of Business Entities. We have done so since 2018. We also have several LLB students who will write their final year research report on Black economic empowerment. And if there's any of my LIAS students here, if you still want to change your topic to Black economic empowerment, send me an email. We are committed to contributing to research on all aspects of Black economic empowerment, especially with reference to the challenges identified earlier by the Commissioner. On behalf of the department, I also want to thank Ms. Quinter, Ms. Veronica, and Ms. Aldi for their hard work with tonight's function. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. And we gave you 3 minutes. You just went under, so you are safe. All right. Colleagues, at this point in time, I think it was mentioned that one of our colleagues who was supposed to give a message of support had been caught up in something, and it seems we will not be able to get Dr. Mbulelo in. Which then brings us to the main feast, which is the signing of the MOU. So at this point, I would like to invite Professor Reddy and Commissioner Matona to please approach the table where you will find the MOUs and pens. I see Prof. Reddy has his own pen. And then we can get the MOU signed. Thank you for that. It's now official. I think they've put pen to paper, so we appreciate the signing of the MOU. Thank you. Colleagues, we are nearing the end of our evening, and I would like to call upon Prof. Reddy again, just to give a vote of thanks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Program Director, once more. This is not a long speech, but I think with any event or ritual, it's always important to give thanks to all those who have helped make it what it is. Again, I would like to say thanks and appreciation specifically to our Commissioner, Mr. Sidiso Matona. Your speech, actually your lecture, was to a large extent, in my view, thoughtful, considered, critical, self-reflective. And I think there are a number of takeaways that we can all leave with. Central for me, and for all of us, is the constitutional imperative. That is foundational. But also key is the project of respect and responsibility. Thirdly, as I picked up at my hearing, is still good now, is the fact that it's neither a failure nor has it been fully successful, but there's much more work to be done. In fact, you have said, it's unfinished business because it is fundamentally caught up with not only our shared histories, Commissioner, but also our shared futures. And I think you leave us with the task of undertaking that collective journey signaled by the signing of this MOU. So once more, thank you very much for that most powerful lecture. And it's great to see that the students are also here. And I think the prof and the head of department indicating that if you want to change your topic, I think that's very generous of her. So very important. I know that our head of the Free State Department of Economic and Small Business Development was not here, but in his absence, we say thank you to him. I'd also like to say thank you to the Black Management Forum of the Free State who might have joined us. We knew that you had some commitments and you were joining late, so thank you so much for joining us. And then also a very special thank you to Prof. Serge for your leadership of the faculty and your visionary direction together with your wonderful team who are here. Prof. Elizabeth Snyman van Deventer, thank you also, head of department for mercantile law. And I think there's a wonderful energy of leadership and support and visionary positioning of the faculty of law within the broader context of this university on critical issues. Dr. Simba, congratulations as well. Also for facilitating us in this conversation in many, many ways. I want to acknowledge, I think prior to the actual lecture, that we had an exhibition here, and many were responsible for that, but I want to acknowledge in particular the exhibitors, the National Empowerment Fund, the Youth Employment Service, the Competition Commission, the Companies Tribunal, and of course the Department of Economic, Small Business Development, Tourism and Environmental Affairs. And the presence of these exhibitors, I think, bears testimony to the critical work that you're doing, but also providing valuable insights and opportunities for thinking about the deep connection between policy, business, and certainly economic transformation. And let us not forget that music also and dance brings us together. So we must acknowledge, and I'm sure they will find a way to still entertain you I want to say thank you to our choir for bringing the spirit, the rhythm, and I think if you listen very carefully to the words, some deeply powerful messaging that resonates with the theme of tonight's event. To our students and our future leaders of the country, we thank you to take this ongoing project through your study, through your graduation forward, in furthering the spirit of inquiry and also action. And of course, there are many people behind the scenes who make things possible who are not in the front lines. I want to say thank you sincerely to Ms. Quinter, who's standing on the side there. Very much appreciated. And of course, the colleague who was here, oh, there he is back. I do want to say thank you to Mr. Mofishli Teleki for your hard work and coordination, and also for sharing those insights with us. As we saw tonight, was fundamentally about the spirit of collaboration, working together, finding common purpose as we take these ideas forward. And we're delighted that the University of the Free State is working with the Commission to bridge this gap between policy, practice, and fundamentally real impact. And of course, it's all very much in line with our vision, our mission, and our common purpose for being a catalyst for deeper change in our society, and maybe I should also add deeper transformation, which this university is fundamentally committed to. If many who are knowing the history of this institution and this particular venue in which we're sitting, some very interesting things took place over time, but it's amazing how time heals and take us all forward collectively. And so with that, I want to say again, thank you, Siyabonga, Kialeboha, Baya Danki, thank you.
Thank you, Prof, for those words of appreciation. And with that, our evening comes to an end. If we may just remain seated while our panelists perhaps are led out by Ms. Quinter, and then I will make the announcement that some ears are picking up for. Thank you. Okay, thank you everyone. I think we can proceed outside. There will be refreshments in the foyer, and I think in the quad outside. Enjoy your evening.